Welcome to today's video, why I canceled my cruise, and why you might want to do the same. We've all heard the allure of cruising. Imagine endless ocean views, luxurious amenities, and the promise of adventure. However, I soon realized that the dream wasn't as perfect as it seemed. Join me as I dive into my personal experience and share the reasons that led to my decision, including hidden crowds, environmental concerns, and the sneaky costs that often go overlooked. By the end, you might just find yourself rethinking your next vacation too. 1. The dream that hooked me. I'll never forget the moment I clicked "Book Now" on that shiny cruise deal. I pictured myself on a sun-soaked deck, cocktail in hand, with sparkling blue waves stretching to the horizon. The idea of waking up in a new country every morning sounded almost magical, like something out of a movie. I could already taste the fresh sea air, hear the laughter from the pool, and see the endless buffet tables. But as my departure date crept closer, doubts started to bubble up. Was this really the adventure I wanted? Or was I just seduced by glossy brochures and Instagram feeds? The truth, I discovered, was a lot more complicated. 2. The hidden crowds. One thing the ads never show. Just how many people you'll be sharing that floating paradise with. Cruise ships today are basically small cities, packed with thousands of guests. Walking through the halls can feel like rush hour in a busy subway station. The pool decks are lined with towels before sunrise. Buffet lines snake around the dining room, and finding a quiet spot to watch the sunset can feel like winning the lottery. Asterisk more than 30% of cruise travelers say overcrowding ruined their experience asterisk, and I felt that anxiety just reading their stories. If you dream of peace and solitude, a cruise might not be your ticket. 3. Environmental guilt. I started looking into what my cruise meant for the planet. Turns out, these ships burn a shocking amount of fuel and dump waste into the sea, sometimes as much as a small city. Even the air around ports can be polluted with heavy ship exhaust. As someone who tries to travel responsibly, this was a big red flag. Asterisk every cruise I skipped meant less plastic, less oil, and less damage to coral reefs. Choosing land-based travel felt like a kinder choice for the places I longed to explore. 4. The sneaky costs. That cheap cruise fare? It's just the beginning. Once you're on board, everything from Wi-Fi to shore excursions to specialty coffees comes with extra fees. It's surprisingly easy to rack up hundreds of dollars in extras before you know it. Asterisk the average cruiser spends $200 to $300 more on board than they planned. Suddenly, my budget trip didn't look so affordable. I realized I could spend the same amount and have more freedom by planning my own adventure on land. 5. Rushed port stops. I used to imagine myself wandering ancient streets, chatting with locals, tasting fresh pastries at a sidewalk cafe. But the reality? Cruise port stops are often rushed. You might get just a few hours ashore, barely enough time to see the highlights, let alone get off the beaten path. Many ports are crowded with other cruise passengers, making it hard to find that authentic experience. I read countless reviews from travelers who felt they barely scratched the surface of each destination. That's not the kind of travel I crave. 6. No room for spontaneity. One of my favorite things about travel is following unexpected paths. Stumbling onto a hidden beach, taking a detour for a local festival, or lingering over dinner with new friends. Cruises, though, run on tight schedules. You can't just decide to stay longer in a port or wander off on your own. Everything, from meal times to excursions, is planned in advance. If you value freedom and flexibility, cruising might leave you feeling boxed in. 7. Missing the local flavor. Cruise ships offer plenty of food options, but let's be honest. You're not getting grandma's secret recipe in a banquet hall. The best meals I've had traveling weren't part of any package. They were at tiny roadside shacks or bustling city markets. On a cruise, you might never get to try the real deal. Plus, Many ports cater to tourists, so it's easy to miss out on local customs and hidden gems unless you venture far from the dock. 8. Alternatives that inspired me. When I canceled my cruise, I started dreaming up other adventures. Road trips let you stop anywhere, anytime, perfect for travelers who crave the unexpected. Trains wind through stunning landscapes, and you can meet locals over a cup of coffee in the dining car. Backpacking gives you the freedom to change your plans on a whim. Traveling by land or rail often means deeper connections, richer stories, and fewer crowds. I found myself more excited about these options than I ever was about my original cruise plan. 9. What I learned from others. I'm not the only one who's had second thoughts. One friend told me she felt trapped on a ship, longing to explore more than the cruise schedule allowed. Another regretted missing local festivals and spontaneous moments because she had to rush back to the dock. These stories made me realize I wasn't alone. Canceling my cruise wasn't a failure, it was a chance to travel deeper, slower, and more authentically. 10. Choosing adventure over comfort. In the end, saying no to a cruise was about saying yes to a different kind of adventure. I wanted travel that surprised me, challenged me, and made me feel alive. It's not always as comfortable as a floating resort, but it's a lot more rewarding. If you're torn about booking that cruise, ask yourself what kind of memories you want to make. For me, the best stories come from the road less traveled.